the Flintstones growing up, this is why I felt like the Miami Heat should advance in this series. Yeah, the Celtics have more lottery picks and overall seem to have more skill and talent, but the Miami Heat are a well-oiled machine, and that guy we just showed, Bam, was physically dominant up front. Tice didn't have a chance to guard him off the dribble, in the post, in half court, in transition. Can't really put Cantor out there. He's not much of a defender. He really exposed the weakness as it relates to up front with the Boston Celtics defensively.
Jalen, you know I will front run and I will jump on a bandwagon, and I'm so happy to be on this one with the Miami Heat. And you know I love Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson so much because when they're on the court, I feel like I'm on the court. And the two of them both contributed last night. Duncan Robinson is finally starting to show up and hit some shots. I love this Heat team so much. And we will have plenty of time to dedicate to previewing this finals matchup for you. But, Jalen, right now it is time to give the Heat their flowers because there aren't too many people that picked them to come out of the East. And here they are with a trip to the NBA Finals in the bubble. And, Jalen, you said that there was something that happened last night, a key play that sort of changed the momentum of the game and brought the Heat to the finals. What play was that?
Celtics just were a second-half team, in particular led by Jason Tatum. But in yesterday's game, Jalen Brown started to have an impact defensively. He and Marcus Smart were getting deflections. They were getting steals, including against Tyler Hero. And this play right here, Jacoby, that should have been an and one for Jalen Brown. He wouldn't have gotten injured, wouldn't have been hobbled the rest of the game. They wouldn't have called timeout, and the Miami Heat wouldn't have gotten 2 points going the other way. That was a major play in the game that ultimately ended up being a no call as we put a button on the Celtics season.
Ended up being a no call and ended the Celtics season. We will see this young core in the playoffs again, but now we turn our attention to the gridiron, and what a day it was yesterday all throughout the NFL, but specifically for a gentleman by the name of Russell Wilson. He has played 3 games, and he has thrown 14 touchdown passes in those 3 games, 3 of them to lock it yesterday. Jalen, they beat the Cowboys. It was close, but Russell Wilson is on a tear. What do you see from him?
I see somebody that is a member of a power couple. And you know we celebrate those on this program. And I remember there was times where people were trolling him and he wasn't getting MVP votes. And now all of a sudden he's putting up records that we haven't seen in the first 3 games. And Lockett looks like a rocket because he's out there wide open. Metcalf could have had another touchdown, except he was tiptoeing at the goal line and got the ball stripped from him. This Seattle team led by Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson has been explosive offensively. Hopefully Jamal Adams doesn't have to miss extended time with his injury.
Yep, Jamal Adams, a key part of that defense. He was hurt, but also a key part of their offense. Chris Carson was injured, and he was injured on this play that I can't wait to talk to you about. You have the Cowboys' Tristan Hill with this tackle and roll over of the leg that led to Carson missing time. Jalen, do you think this was a dirty tackle?
The football I grew up knowing and loving, it was not. But in today's game, it is. And I was surprised that more wasn't made of this play because usually these are the plays that not only get somebody flagged, but get them ejected and or suspended and or fined. It'll be interesting to see how the league plays it going forward.
When I saw this play, I expected him to be ejected. I expected suspension to come down and a fine to come down. It's just too obvious, and also it shouldn't be this way, but the injury also amplifies it because he was hurt and because he could miss extra time. I think the league will take a longer look at this, and I do expect him to be suspended for a game, and I expect him to be a lot lighter in the pockets because of a fine.
3 down back. So very underrated. They're going to need him to make their goals happen.
They really are, and they use him a lot in the passing game as well. Russell Wilson, what a start he has had. He is going to give the 2 gentlemen that we will watch tonight a run for the next MVP trophy. But before we start getting ahead of ourselves to tonight's game, another big game yesterday between 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, beat the Saints. The Saints have a slow start. Do you think this was more about Rodgers being great or the Saints underperforming?
This definitely more about Rodgers being great because Matt LaFleur and he seem to be on the same page, and this is without Devontae Adams. And so now all of a sudden you see Aaron Rodgers comfortable in the pocket, making his weapons around him better. This team is going to continue to improve. A scary sight for the NFC. The one thing I saw for the Saints is I love to see Kamara catching so many balls and scoring touchdowns, and I know that they were playing without Michael Thomas. But Drew Brees got this dinking and dunking, Jacoby. He dinking and dunking. I saw it was like 5 yards. You know, I'm like, they're going to have to unlock the field if they really going to do something in the NFC. But the talks of his demise after early weeks were greatly over-exaggerated.
That's like I said earlier, I'm going to wait until Thanksgiving. I'm going to wait until I'm wearing a winter coat before I start talking about Drew Brees' demise. However, I can't help but notice, like you, that he rarely throws the ball over 10 yards. And he said after last week that his job isn't to throw the ball far. His job is to get wins. However, when you watch the Saints this year, how many wins? Wait, I'm sorry. How many wins? Oh, that's right. They don't have wins. So maybe his job should be to throw it further downfield. Do you think Sean Payton will change their approach and start to throw it further downfield as they move forward in the season?
Again, it helps when you have the number one option in the NFL that caught a record. That's the security blanket, not only for a quarterback, but for an older quarterback in Drew Brees. But at the same time, when he did play, he only caught 3 balls. So when both of those things are happening concurrently, it's going to be easier to evaluate where we feel like Drew Brees is and will be for the season going forward.
Obviously, I do know that the Saints did beat the Bucs and another older quarterback in Tom Brady in Week 1, but they have not won since then. And there is a team, as I mentioned earlier in this segment, I will jump on a bandwagon. I will front run, and I have decided to become a full-fledged member of Bills Mafia because I love this Bills team so much. The combination of Allen and Diggs, they got out to a huge lead, almost blew it. But then the final drive, you give Josh Allen the ball and they move down the field. Did this pass interference play change the game? Was it actually a pass interference? I don't think so. But you know what? I'm part of Bills Mafia. I might break a table, Jalen. I might break a table. Now, Jalen, I might break a table. I really might. Jalen, do you think that pass interference play... Go ahead.
The pass interference play did have a major influence. It was a ticky-tack call, but it was actually the correct call. And I agree with you on Josh Allen, his 5 total TDs. You should be excited about Bills Mafia. But some of the things you've done on this show, as I look at the footage of the people that are jumping and breaking their backs on chairs and hitting cans on their head, you fit right in with them because that seems like a cultural thing. We had you in the picture earlier with your Miami guys. We see you pictured in front of your Beastie Boys. I see you excited about Josh Allen. You have earned the right to be a full-fledged, die-easy member of Bills Mafia. I'm pretty sure they'll welcome you with open arms.
Listen, I will support the Bills until they lose. As long as they're undefeated, because I'm a front runner. As long as they're undefeated, I'm part of Bills Mafia. But once they start losing, I'm off that so fast. Jalen, it is time for some very important news that matters. Jalen, I'm about to show you footage that feels like it's from the future because you and I are old. We're washed up. We used to watch a show called Voltron. And Jalen, look at this footage of this gigantic humanoid robot. That is a real thing, Jalen. That is a Gundam robot. It exists in Japan. Jalen, do you think that these type of robots will one day run this planet instead of us?
They will never run this planet because we control them, we program them, and we can unplug them at any time. That reminds me when I was young, though, it was like Ultraman. I used to watch him on TV, or Giant Robot was another one. There, as I see the robot.
Jacoby, Jalen, we had so many games in the NFL that it is now time for you to tell us which ones we will discuss. It's a segment that we call Keep It Moving.
Woo-tang!
If you want to discuss the game, say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man keep it moving. And we start with a dramatic quarterback change for Chicago. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
The Chicago Bears were playing the Falcons. The Falcons had a large lead in the fourth quarter, and we all know what happens with Falcons leads in the second half. They brought Foles in for Trubisky and got a comeback win. What do you think this means for the future of the position in Chicago?
See, that's the duality, because if you're Mitchell Trubisky, they name you the starting quarterback. Hopefully you can keep it longer than 3 weeks. For them to already be taking you out of the game, that is not good. He probably won't see the field again unless Foles gets hurt. On the other side, you talked about the Falcons and blowing leads, whether it was the Super Bowl or even last week against the Cowboys. This is something you start to look at their coaching staff. You're not going to do anything about Matt Ryan because he's been an MVP in this league, but maybe there might be a time to get a makeover happening with the Falcons. They were playing without Julio Jones, really has shown promise, but this team has seemed to plateau in the NFC.
Yeah, they really have. The Falcons team has disappointed year after year, especially last season and so far this season. And giving up these big leads just becomes contagious. It just happens over and over again to this franchise and these fans. But, Jalen, I agree with you. I do not think Mitch Trubisky is going to start another game for the Chicago Bears as long as Nick Foles is healthy. And if Nick Foles can continue to perform the way he did in the second half of this game, he might have a starting position for him for the Bears for quite some time. Moving on to another new quarterback in a new place. Cam Newton and the Patriots got a win over the Raiders. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Great to see Burkhead hit his head on the goalpost a couple of times. Cam keeps on rolling, keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
The Texans have really stumbled out of the gate this season. Keep it moving or
hit the brakes.
Texans have now lost 3 of 3 games, and this time they went down to the Steelers. Do you think this was more about Big Ben performing well or Deshaun and the Texans not having it together?
I think this is about one thing, ownership. And I'm going to give everybody the main bullet to follow when they talk about the Houston Texans. All you want Bill O'Brien to do is get Deshaun to re-sign. The goal for them clearly wasn't to pay top dollar to build a roster around him, or they would have kept D-Hop. So Deshaun and D-Hop are like, you know what? We got to separate so we can both get our bread. Except D-Hop gets to play with Kyler Murray, and Deshaun gets his bread, and all of a sudden he clearly doesn't have the requisite weapons. Now if you're the ownership, as I bring this full circle, you change the coach because you already got Deshaun signed. I've seen this happen so many times in sports.
Yes, I will be surprised if Bill O'Brien is still coaching this team come next season. Moving on to a game that was kind of a game, but not really a game. It was a tie between the Bengals and the Eagles. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
A tie. Keep it moving, dog.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Tom Brady moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to 2-1 with a win over the Broncos. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
No surprises. Good to see Evans get a touchdown. Tom Brady hit the brakes on this one.
Jalen, Tom Brady, you know, him and Gronkowski connected a couple times. They hadn't really been doing that. But I have to be honest. I have no idea who the starting quarterback is for the Broncos. Like, I don't even know who's playing the position for the Denver Broncos right now. They've got guys in there that I have not heard of before playing for the Broncos. What do you think they will do at that position?
This is the frustration that you alluded to earlier when we showed the robot. There are jobs out there for people like Colin Kaepernick if you really want to fill out your roster and give a legit opportunity to somebody that can help you win games. But for some strange reason, guys in Denver won't give them that look.
Jalen, when the NFL schedule was released, we all circled this day on the calendar because it is the day that we will see the Ravens and the Chiefs. Of course, we're going to hit the brakes on this one. Now, Jalen, the Chiefs had trouble with a rookie quarterback and the Chargers last week. I'm predicting the Ravens will win this one easily. What do you think will happen tonight when the two former MVPs face off?
Here's what I'm predicting. As a longtime fan of the game, somebody that's played more John Madden than anybody, somebody that watches every snap of every game. You know what I see with these two teams, besides the fact that they have dual threat quarterbacks who are fantastic with their arms, is that they embody how the wide receiver position has actually changed. Usually you were looking for somebody that looked like Julio Jones or had hands like DeAndre Hopkins. Now, if you notice, Russell Wilson is throwing the ball 3 touchdowns to Tyler Lockett. Okay, Mahomes is throwing it to the cheetah. The Ravens threw it less to the wide receivers than any team in the National Football League. And so usually it was about get that 6'4", 6'5" receiver and try to throw him the ball 10 times a game. But those great talents, even like an Odell Beckham, aren't getting those looks in today's game. So interestingly enough, for these two squads, the ground game is going to be a major key, even though they have 2 reigning regular season and Super Bowl MVPs performing under center.
And we didn't get this matchup last year in the playoffs. Like, I really thought that we were headed for a Ravens-Chiefs AFC Championship game, and then the Titans came along and sort of ruined all of that, but we get it tonight. And one thing that I'm going to key on is the Chiefs adding Clyde Edwards-Helaire just seems unfair. Honestly, if I was an owner of a team or a general manager of a team and I looked at all those other general managers that didn't pick Helaire until he got to the Chiefs, it just doesn't seem fair because what he adds to them is a back that can run between the tackles. As you can see right here, he can catch it in the flat. He can make people miss. He adds an element to the Chiefs offense that they honestly didn't even need because they won the Super Bowl. But he, tonight, is going to be a key if they're going to beat the Ravens.
That accentuates my point when you add to a strength. That's exactly what the Ravens did. Led the NFL in rushing yardage, and they add Dobbins from Ohio State. The Chiefs understood that their run game was their weakness, so they add a national champion. So now you don't have to worry about those positions, and you protect your superstar quarterback.
You know Joe Burrow and Clyde Edwards-Helaire text sometimes because they both were on that national championship LSU team, and now Joe Burrow's celebrating a tie because he's on the Bengals, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has already made plans to go to the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Jalen, something happened in the NFL yesterday that I never thought I would ever see. The Detroit Lions won a football game in the NFL. We will celebrate that when we come back. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, it hasn't happened for 336 days, but yesterday was the 337th day, and it was the day the Lions won a professional football game. The Detroit Lions beat the Arizona Cardinals, and because we love the Cardinals so much on this show, we have retitled it the Cardinals News Network here at ESPN for brief passages in which we discuss the Cardinals, but today it's all about the Lions. If there's one sound that encapsulates how you feel about this Lions victory, what is that?
And see, Jacoby, these are the days that it pay off to be a die-hard fan. When your team loses 11 straight, drops at the goal line by your first-round picks, okay, can't find a way to get out of your own way. And then all of a sudden, it was like a parent watching his 2 sons compete against one another, rooting for Hopkins to get 10 catches because he's a friend of the show and my brother and he's on my fantasy team. And we're the Cardinals News Network, but however, this is hometown, baby. And I felt good. This is for Al Bubba Baker. This is for Billy Sims. This is for Jeff Chadwick, Barry Sanders. This is for Benny Blades. All of the people who have William Gay, all of the people who have donned this Lions uniform.
Jalen, I thought that this was going to be the second time that your franchise went 0-16, but 1-15 is very much a possibility after watching this performance because I saw this game as a failure of the Cardinals to beat the Lions. How do you have Larry Fitzgerald have 1 catch for 0 yards? How does that even happen? Kyler Murray, 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions. 3. And I also want to say this. Keyshawn Johnson, our colleague, there's another Keyshawn Johnson in the leagues, and he got more targets. It felt like than anybody else on the Cardinals. I do not understand this game plan that Cliff Kingsbury put out there. I do not even understand how they lost to the Lions, but enjoy your day. We will be back tomorrow to discuss the big Monday Night Football game on ESPN2 at 2.